Today I'm going to do a tutorial on drawing an apple. I used Prismacolor Premier pencils for the drawing and it is done on a Canson medium grained paper. Also, I'm gonna be demonstrating the use of baby oil as a blender in this tutorial. I'm starting off by blocking some areas with the color crimson red. The apple here is crimson red colored, so we will use crimson red for the midtones. And for the shadows I will use some reddish brown and dark brown, and for the highlights I will use different shades of pink. This apple has a big highlighted area on the top and the bottom half is completely away from the light. So we only have a thin area of midtone in between. This high contrast makes the apple look shiny. The midtone and shadows are usually blended well together, but the highlights and the midtone has a sharp demarcation in between. So I'm making a thin layer of crimson red towards the shadow area and I will blend it with the shadow colors later. Now I'm using different shades of pink for the highlight. I will use the darker pink towards the periphery and lighter towards the center. Notice that I am blending each shades into one another, so there won't be any noticeable demarcations between them. Now I am going to one of the shadow colors, that is Tuscan red. Most of the shadow part is drawn using Tuscan red, but for some really dark areas I will use an additional layer of dark umber. This apple is sitting on a surface obviously, so some of the shadow areas towards that surface will get reflected light from the floor. So we will have to make those areas a bit lighter. But still it should be darker than the midtone. This reflected light helps to give the apple a 3D shape. Right now I am avoiding drawing over the reflected area. I am concentrating more on the actual shadow part. I am adding a few more layers of crimson red for the shadow and I will add a thin layer of dark umber towards the bottom. Now I am drawing the reflected part, and to make it lighter than the shadow, I will add an initial layer of pink and then I will use crimson red and Tuscan red on top of that. Try blending different colors until you are satisfied, but make sure it is lighter than the shadow but darker than the midtone. I am finishing the upper part of the apple by using some flesh tones and yellows. Then I will add a few more layers of colors until I am satisfied. Even after finishing the drawing, the surface looks very grainy. This is due to the soft nature of Prismacolor pencils. So to avoid this grainy look, we either have to burnish the drawing with a lighter colored pencil like I have done in the lavender rose tutorial, or we can use a solvent to blend. Here I am going to use a solvent because that will make the color richer. This is beneficial in this drawing because apples are richly colored. I am going to use baby oil as a solvent. This has a pleasant smell, and since this is viscous, it gives a bit more control over blending. I will dip a flat synthetic brush in the oil and then wipe off the excess with a paper towel. Then use the brush to blend the colors. Care must be taken not to apply oil excessively. This will ruin the paper and the drawing. So, as you can see, the drawing blends beautifully with baby oil. You must draw sufficient layers before applying the oil, otherwise the result would be horrible. You can always go over the blended area with colored pencils again. Notice that I am further defining the shadows with colored pencils even after blending. With an electric eraser, I am making some patterns over this apple skin. This helps to make it even more realistic. We don't want these dots to be this much white, so I'll use the same brush to blend it to the nearby color, so it won't stand out. If you don't have an electric eraser, just use a white or light yellow pencil. I am drawing the stalk by using some browns and dark umber. For the leaf, I will use different shades of green. For the undersurface, I am using yellowish greens such as chartreuse and apple green. And for the upper surface, I am using dark green, and for the highlight, I am using a mix of true green and white. I will blend all together with baby oil later. Now I am using a white gel pen for drawing the veins over the leaf and some fine details on apple. For the cat shadow, I am using the dry brush technique with oil colors because getting a smooth shadow with colored pencil is really difficult. Thus, the drawing is complete. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Follow me on all social media linked in the description below.